this week, I changed the title to America's Heartland, the Midwest. And if you look at this, these are the states that are included in the Midwest. We have Minnesota with Minneapolis, St. Paul, meaning that those are called the Twin Cities. That's their big city. We've got Iowa that Lanfranco was talking about. Missouri, where you may have heard of Kansas City, which is divided in the middle, and half of it is in Missouri, the other half is in Kansas. Then we have St. Louis, Missouri. We have Illinois, Wisconsin, with the major cities, Milwaukee, the major city of Illinois, Chicago, Indiana, the major city. Again, these are not the capitals, but they're the major cities, okay? Because capitals are normally small. The major cities are the big urban centers. So the major city of Indiana is Indianapolis. In Ohio, we have Cincinnati and Cleveland. Then we have Michigan, where the major city is Detroit. So already Sylvia was talking about Chicago, Milwaukee, and Detroit, right? So these are the major cities, okay? So the states then, okay, so as you can see here, that the 8 states in the Midwest make up 20% or 1/5 of the US population. So the major ones are Illinois, where you know of Chicago, of course, right? So there's a large part of Illinois that's actually very rural, very, very, very rural. Okay, not much happening. And if you're driving through it, like Lanfranco probably did, it takes a long time, and there's not a lot, not very much to see for a lot of Illinois. In fact, there's a point where if you're driving through, you can put on the radio and it will go all the way around, and you will not find a radio station. But then there's, of course, the more rural part, excuse me, the city part, the urban part, which is Chicago, etc. Okay. Then we have Indiana, which they call the heart of the Midwest, right? It's on Lake Michigan, okay, as is Illinois. Lake Michigan's very big, okay? And Indianapolis is the major city there. You might know Indianapolis because of the Indianapolis 500 car race, okay? It's famous for that. Then we have Iowa. When we think of Iowa, we think of farms, but there are also some important university towns as well. And that's where the presidential election campaign always starts in Iowa. Thank goodness that's over, right? Then we're in Michigan. Okay, so we call all the lakes the Great Lakes, right? So Lake Michigan is there, and Michigan sits right on it. Okay, lots of forests. People go skiing in Michigan. They have their second houses in Michigan because there are many lakes, very beautiful. And there are university towns like Ann Arbor and Kalamazoo, and of course, the very famous Detroit, okay, which is also called Motown, right? Motor City, because that was an important hub for both the car industry, but also, of course, the music industry as well. Then we have Minnesota, okay, the land of 10,000 lakes. I think Michigan has even more. I think Minnesota actually has more lakes than that as well. Okay, I'm just trying to make it a little bigger. Okay, so it's home to the Twin Cities, which is Minneapolis and St. Paul. Okay, and Minnesota is the coldest city. Excuse me, Minneapolis is the coldest. Coldest city. Minnesota is the coldest state in America. So if you want to, at least on the mainland, so I'm not counting Alaska in this, but Minnesota is very chilly. Then we have Missouri, okay, which we have St. Louis, if you've heard of that, okay. Gateway to the West, because that's basically where when America was first kind of expanding westward, Missouri was kind of the cutoff for the part that was like very, established, and the other part was sort of the wild part, right? So Missouri was the gateway. That was the kind of why we call the Midwest, because it was after that, that's where the West started at that point, right? Of course, it's no
Yeah,
longer
so
that way, but
in St. Louis,
yes,
there is a big arch.
yes.
Yes, you
Arch
know,
National Park. That's the
yes,
symbol. Uh-huh.
the symbol, but that arch was supposed to be built in Rome.
It was supposed to, is that right?
Yes, because in Rome we had to have the World Fair, the World Exposition in 42. No? And
Okay,
in
for
the
the World's
project of
Fair.
this
Uh-huh.
exposition, in the EUR, Esposizione Internazionale Roma, there was the
Uh-huh.
building of this big arch. Then,
Huh.
because of the war, we didn't build it. but the St. Louis people caught the idea, no?
Ah, interesting. See,
If you
so
see the
another reason
project,
to visit St. Louis. It's on our trip today, so we'll
if
definitely
you
run
see
into it.
the complete project of the Esposizione Universale Roma, the EUR,
Uh-huh.
the complete project, there is the arch, the big arch, no, too.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Good. Then we have in Ohio. Okay, Ohio is the home of Cleveland and Columbus, maybe you've heard of, okay? Agriculture, but you knew it, of course, because it's a swing state during the campaign. Okay. But Ohio is sort of the state that goes between Midwest and it really takes you towards the east, right? So the culture there is already a little bit different. And then, of course, we end with Wisconsin. The capital is called Madison. The major city is Milwaukee. It's called the Dairy State, so it's famous for cheese, etc. It's where I'm from also. Okay. And so we'll talk more about that later. But the major cities that we're talking about are Chicago, which is known as the Windy City, and third largest in the US. So a beautiful kind of big city, but kind of has a small town feel anyway. Okay. Then we have Cincinnati, okay, which is the oldest large city in the region, okay, and has a completely different architecture. Then we have Cleveland, which is the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So that's it's famous for that. So every year we get to see who gets inducted into that. Then we have Detroit, which we called Motown, right? Where some of our most famous American singers started. Okay. Then we have Indianapolis. They call it the Circle City or the Crossroads of America. And the Indy 500 we talked about. And the world's largest children's museum, which I didn't know about. Then we have Kansas City, the city of fountains. And of course, this is where we start to have like a real culture for barbecue. So while Ohio feels to me like it's more Eastern, Kansas City already starts to feel more like the South. Okay, because all of these places are kind of overlapping and the cultures overlap, but these are places where you start to feel like things are a little bit different. Even the accent in Kansas City feels a lot different than it does in the northern parts of the Midwest. Then we have Milwaukee, Brew City, because of it has German heritage, so it's a beer town. Also Cream City, known for Cream City brick, which was the brick that was used to make a lot of the houses, and it's called the City of Festivals. It's also on Lake Michigan, also home to Harley Davidson motorcycles. Also the Monster of Milwaukee, maybe you remember Jeffrey Dahmer was also from there. Not one of our most favorite memories, but also true. And then we talked about St. Louis, which is the gateway city where the Gateway Arch is, and considered the easternmost city of the West and the northernmost city of the South of the Midwest.
Sorry, another Roman stuff, no?
Uh-huh.
Cincinnati is the
Yes.
name of a Roman general, Cincinnato.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, yes. A famous Roman general during the Republic, before the
Is that
Empire.
right?
It was Cincinnato. They
Is
took
that
the
right?
name here,
They took the
Cincinnati.
name. Yeah, because I think you would think it was like an Indian name, right? For us, because there's some of these words are taken from Indian tribes, but sounds like that one got its name from an Italian general. That sounds good. Great.
Roman, old Roman,
An
old
old Roman.
Roman.
Okay. Here again we have the map a little bit bigger. You see the Great Lakes region, okay? Lake Erie, Lake Huron, Lake Superior, and Lake Michigan. And then we have Canada up here. So we talk about these states, we talk about them being kind of in the north, okay? Minnesota borders with North and Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. These states here are super incredibly cold as well. So this is all the part of the country where it's very hot in the summer, but it's a very short summer. And in the winter, it's a cold and it's a long winter. My childhood was full. I'm from right here between Milwaukee and Chicago, right near the border between the two states of Illinois and Wisconsin on Lake Michigan. And I remember growing up with a lot of snow and very, very cold temperatures, often below zero. And the Fahrenheit below zero is about, is much colder than when we think about your zero. Your zero is like 30 degrees, which me is still okay. So I had a rule in the past, which is okay, if I need to go running, I can only go running if it's if it's below zero, I take the day off. But when I moved to other places, I decided that, well, wait, maybe when it's below 30. But in Wisconsin, you get used to the cold so much that you try not to let it change your habits, because otherwise you'll never go anywhere in the winter, because we've got a lot of snow and a lot of very, very cold temperatures. But I can tell you that schools close in Wisconsin when the temperature goes minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit, but I don't know what that is in Sylvia. How much is 20 degrees below zero in Celsius? Do you know?
Actually, no, I don't know the difference between these unit of measurements.
Okay, so minus 20 Fahrenheit in Celsius is minus 28 degrees. Because when you go below zero, they get to be pretty close. It's when you're above zero that it changes, that there's a pretty big difference. So when it gets below zero by 28 degrees Celsius, schools close. Here they probably close earlier than that. But anyway, so there you have again on the southernmost part, you can see Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, right? But this is considered the Midwest. So I'm going to read you this quote. I hope you can see it. I just wanted to find what someone, because the Midwest often gets kind of a bad reputation for being kind of boring or nothing to do, rural, because it's not famous like other parts of the country. But at the same time, it often gets used as a place as like the average American, or it'll be on television and things. So I thought I would read you this quote from a book, which says, to think of the Midwest as a whole as anything other than beautiful is to ignore the extraordinary power of the land, the lushness of the grass and trees in August, the roll of the hills. Far less of the Midwest is flat than outsiders seem to imagine. The rich smell of soil, which is the terra, right? The evening sunlight over a field of wheat, or the crickets chirping at dusk on a residential street. All of it has always made me feel at peace. There is room to breathe. There is a realness of place. The seasons are extreme, but they pass and return, and the world seems far steadier than it does from the vantage point of a coastal city. Certainly, picturesque towns can be found in New England or California or the Pacific Northwest, but I can't shake the sense that they're too picturesque. On the East Coast, especially, these places seem to me aggressively quaint, unbecomingly smug, and even xenophobic, downright paranoid in their wariness of those who might somehow infringe upon the local charm. I suspect this wariness is tied to the high cost of real estate, meaning the houses, the fear that there might not be enough space or money, and what there is of both must be clung to and defended. The West Coast, I think, has a similar self regard and a beauty that I can't help seeing as show offy. To show off is the fantasy, right? But the Midwest, it's quietly lovely, not preening with the need to have its attributes remarked on. It is the place I'm calmest and most myself. So it's nice to read something. This is from a book called The American Wife, but it's just kind of fun to read something about the Midwest that's not sort of there's also many stereotypes about the Midwest being people being very simple, people being very maybe naive, farmers. And it's probably true in some ways, but it's also a
Campgrounds as
wonderful place
well.
to be from. Huh?
Campgrounds.
Excuse me?
Campgrounds.
What does that mean?
Campsite.
Hindsight?
Campsite.
Fine.
They generally go to camp to they generally
Oh,
go camping.
campsites. Camping. Oh, okay, campsites. Thank you. I'm sorry. I was like, I wasn't Didn't hear it. Okay. So I have some other quotes here. Silvio, can you read this first quote? Oh, or can you see it? As I've
Yeah,
often said,
sure.
or no?
As
Can
I
you read the first
often,
one?
sure. So, as I often said, Wisconsin's greatest strengths continue to be the dedicated, hardworking people of our state. They go to work every day, pay their taxes, and raise their kids with good Midwesterners values. Jim
Good.
Doyle.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so that's just a quote about the Midwest. So these are some of the ideas that people have about Midwesterners. They're workers, they pay their taxes, they raise their kids, they have Midwestern values. Okay. Lanfranco, can you read the second one? With Midwestern people.
Midwestern people stick together. Gee
Ye
willikers.
Willikers.
They work hard. There is no glitz, no glamour. When I was a girl in Duluth,
Duluth.
Minnesota, I used to get up early and milk cows. So I know what hard work is.
Good. Thank you.
Gina Lee
Lu
Nolin. Gina
Thank you. Luciana, can you read the next one? I lived in Chicago. Can you read that for me?
Yes, I lived in Chicago for a few years and I got a sense of kind of that broad shouldered, windy, stern, Midwestern, warm stats, I can see very good, warm
Passive aggressive.
slash passive.
Warm slash passive aggressive, huh?
Water slash passive aggressive, wonderful, every adjective I can think of, very cold.
Okay, so someone coming to the Midwest to live and saying, okay, strong, big people in the cold, kind of aggressive, passive aggressive. Okay, so warm, meaning nice people, but also passive aggressive. And what that means only is that Midwesterners sometimes, if they're angry with you, won't tell you. We don't fight with you. We just might not talk to you for a little while until we get over it. So passive aggressive is a person who's not aggressive with you, but maybe because they change their behavior, they could be seen as maybe a little bit cold as well. Okay. And then the last one is Iowa City is okay as Mr. Midwestern cities go, but there's no food, no culture, no ocean. Okay, so these are just some of the ideas that people have about the Midwest. But I had this idea when I was making this lesson was I was thinking about November 28th, which is Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, Thanksgiving, which by the way is next Thursday. So I think we're actually spending November 28th online together. It'll be Thanksgiving Day. So next week our lesson will be a little bit different, but I thought today I would talk to you a little bit about Thanksgiving because since we're talking about the Midwest and that's where I'm from, I thought that I would plan a little trip for us so that we can do some of my favorite things in the Midwest, if that's okay with you. Are you good for a trip? You're not answering, so I'm assuming that's a yes. Okay. So we have to be there for the 28th. So the first thing I did was check to see if there's anything else going on. And I found that there's a basketball game happening on Wednesday, November 20th. It's the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Chicago Bulls because in the winter, we do basketball and hockey and things. And I thought, well, it's always fun to go to a Bucks game. So I thought I would get us some tickets. So I found these tickets, $15, $16 to go see the Bucks play. They'll probably be up here in the cheap seats, but hey, that's not too bad. So I thought we could go and see the Milwaukee Bucks play. I don't know if you're a basketball fan, but it's very, very fun to go to an NBA game because it's just a big spectacle. And I think this is at the Pfizer Forum, and there's about 30,000 seats there, and they're usually sold out. So it's kind of fun to go to a game there. And I'm going to show you some pictures of that later. It's at the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee. So that's one of the things I thought we could do together if you're okay with that. But I think first we're going to have to go get our plane ticket. So I looked for a plane ticket for us. So I thought we could go from our dates are going to be from November 19th until November 30th. So the cheapest thing, I checked from Verona and I checked from Milano, and I found that the cheapest ticket I could find was 551 euros. But don't worry, because I'm a millionaire, so I'm going to pay for your tickets, okay? In fact, I've already bought them for you.
Where
And
do
we're
you
going to
have
leave,
your stopover?
huh? Well, our stopover is going to be in Dublin.
Ah, in Ireland. Okay.
Yeah, because I bought the cheapest ticket was I got the best. I wanted to get a time that was less than 15 hours because that's a good ticket for me. So this one, the duration of the entire trip is going to be 13 hours. So we'll leave from Milan at 11:45 Milan time, but then we will arrive in Chicago O'Hare at 5:55 p.m. on the same day. But remember, there's a 7-hour time difference. So when we arrive at 5:55, it's actually going to be later for you. So you've got to figure out how you want, if you want to sleep on the plane or how that's going to work. But there's one layover, and the layover is in Dublin. And then we'll get there at 5:55, which is a good time to arrive there because then it'll be easy for us for transportation. Then we'll come back on the 30th, and we'll leave it at about 3:55 p.m. And then we'll get to Milan the next morning at 11:05. So we'll probably arrive in Dublin at 8 or 9 in the morning. Okay, so we'll sleep on the plane, and then we'll get there at 11:05 to Milan. So same thing, we stop in Dublin, but 12 hours and 10 minutes. It's usually an hour or less to go in one direction or the other because of the tailwind. So it's normal for one of the trips to be about 1 hour different. It's going to be longer. This time it's going to take us 1 hour longer to get there, but then we get there an hour faster when we come back because of the wind.
Are there
551.
beds on board the airplane?
Are there what?
Beds.
Beds, not on this one.
Okay. But do you suffer the jet lag?
I don't really suffer. Well, yeah, I do a little bit. Normally what I do, when I go to Wisconsin, I usually because you go back in time. So when you leave here in the morning and you get there in the afternoon, even though it's late at night, your body thinks it's late at night, you get there and there's light. So you really don't suffer so much when you go there. You might be really tired, but really, I really don't have a problem going there. I have more of a problem when I come back, especially if I don't sleep on the plane. So I try to spend as much time sleeping as I can. But other people have different strategies. My strategy is sleep on the plane, listen to music, don't watch. You can watch a couple of films, but don't watch a lot of films because that keeps you from sleeping. And sleeping is very important. But it's more important when you come back, especially if you have to work. Now, I had us coming back, I think we left on Saturday on the way back, so we get home on Sunday. And then if we have to go back to work on Monday, we're okay. Okay. So on this plane, we can have one carry-on. So we got to pack very light. You can't bring a lot of stuff either. Okay. So then I looked for a house for us. I figured there'd be 5 of us because I think, we need to have Bruno with us as well. So I found this beautiful house on Lake Michigan. What do you think? Do you like it?
Yes, wonderful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And this is actually in my city. I've never seen this before, but it's got this beautiful view of Lake Michigan. It's, $600 a night, and we're going to check in on the 19th and leave on the 30th. But like I said, I'm very, very, very rich. So I'm going to pay for all of you. Okay. For pretend. I'm not really going to, but I love the idea. I wish I could. If I could, I would. Anyway, so this is where we're going to stay. And the reason that I like the idea of staying in Racine, Wisconsin, is because then we are about 40 minutes from, well, not even, we're about 30 minutes from Milwaukee. We're also less than an hour from Chicago, and we can take a couple of side trips. So I thought it was nice. And it's also a little bit cheaper than staying in a major city, but we still have We still have all the Lake Michigan and all that. So might have the other photos here. Let me just look here. You have all that. You can tell where I was doing all this research today to make sure that I could get us the best place. Let me see if I can you see, now I changed my screen. Can you see that I have these photos of our house?
Sure.
You see that? Okay, so let's look at the photos, see if we like it. So these are the pictures of the living room. And we have the entrance to the house. Then we have, look, oh, a wood burning fireplace. That's good because it's going to be cold. So we might want to make a fire. We've got a little sitting room here for us. It's quite cute, isn't it? Then we have the staircase because there are, okay, 4 upstairs. Okay, guest bedrooms are upstairs and 2 full bathrooms. So look at this. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at the backyard is very pretty too. It's got this nicely decorated, kind of a classic, but also kind of modern. There's a beautiful kitchen. There's a little space for our coffee and breakfast. Big giant refrigerator, American style. Okay, there's our dining room when we want to eat at home. There's one of the bedrooms. Very nice. Fancy lamp. I like the furniture is quite pretty. Okay. I'll go a little faster here. So there's plenty of space. Oh, and this is so this is on Lake Michigan right here. Isn't that gorgeous? So Lake Michigan is so big that you cannot see the other side. It looks like you're looking at the ocean. Isn't that gorgeous? More bedrooms. Okay. Going
Is
faster. There's a
there
nice
fresh
bathroom.
water or salty water?
It is it's fresh water
Fresh
because it's
water,
a
okay.
lake. Yeah, even though it's really, really big, it's still a lake. So
No, but actually, all over the world, there are some lakes that they have salty water.
yeah, this one doesn't. Okay.
Ah, you
It's
say,
very cold though.
do
It's
you
very
say,
cold.
do you say fresh water, not sweet
Yeah,
water,
Yes.
not
Yeah,
sweet
we don't call
water,
it sweet water. We call it's either salt water or fresh
or
water.
fresh water?
Yeah. So this is what the beach looks like in Racine. Isn't that beautiful?
mm,
It's sandy.
sandy beach. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what Lake Michigan looks like. And it's their house is very close to the Racine Zoo. It's a free zoo, so you can go visit. This is the lighthouse in Racine. There are many cities on Lake Michigan that have lighthouses. This is a working lighthouse. This is their backyard.
Yeah, I saw
Here are the
that
other houses,
in
yeah.
Wisconsin, there's a different architecture compare the other states and
Sure.
yes.
Yeah, so are you guys, do you like this house? Is it okay for us? Is it good enough for you?
Yeah,
It's good?
of
Okay,
course.
so I thought we could all stay in the same place, so it's easier. But but it's a pretty nice place. I think we'll be happy there. Okay, good. So now we've got the place to stay. We've got our plane tickets. We've got our tickets to see the Bucks game. Then I thought I would show you what we're going to have for Thanksgiving dinner because we're going to go to my mother's house. Is that okay?
Have some dishes,
Yeah.
Oatmeal.
Brie in the
So we're going to
meatballs.
go to Thanksgiving at my mother's house. So we're going to have some crazy food. I'm going to see if I can find the actual, this is the article. Okay. So this looks, my mother does not make this, but it looks seems something you'd see. It looks like a casserole. So either potatoes or something with cheese, and then they put cereal on top of it, like cornflakes to make it crispy. So, but we'll definitely have green bean casserole. This is a casserole that has cream of mushroom soup in it. Also has green beans, which are these, and it has onion, and it's put in the oven. Then, of course, we have to have our classic deviled eggs, okay, which are just, eggs. We put a little bit of, vinegar with the yolks, and oh, these are delicious. This is definitely an important part of Thanksgiving. Then, of course, there's the Thanksgiving rolls. You have to have the bread, right? And then this is what we saw the picture of, but my mom does not make this. They call it funeral potatoes. I guess they're delicious, like it's potatoes and cheese, but my mom does not make this. So I'm sorry, you can't have that at my mom's house. But there will definitely be a ham, probably, and a turkey, because in Wisconsin, many people like to have both a turkey and a ham because some people prefer ham and some people prefer turkey. Or some people prefer beans, like because they're vegetarians like me. And this is another one that's common. My mother does not make this, but it's sweet potato casserole with marshmallows. So it's got sweet potatoes, which are patate americane for you. They're very sweet. And they have marshmallows on top of them. But again, this is not one of our favorite recipes. So we don't make this at my house, but we do make stuffing. Stuffing is what goes inside of the turkey. And it's normally everybody's favorite part of Thanksgiving dinner because it's better than the turkey. It's like bread with onions and celery and seasoning. And since it bakes inside of the turkey, it has all the taste of the turkey fat and everything like that. But I don't make it in the turkey because I don't eat meat. So I do make this, but I put it in a pan and I use broth, vegetable broth to give it the flavor, but it's so good.
Is there vinegar inside the stuffing or the dressing?
No, not normally. There's usually oil, or either oil or butter, but usually it depends. Oil, like olive oil, um, brodo, right, broth, and then it's gonna have old bread, so stale bread with seasoning, and then onion and celery, sometimes carrots, but that's pretty much it. Yeah, but they use butter in this one. Okay. Then there's cranberry sauce, which is important because in Wisconsin is one of the two states in America that actually grows cranberries. The other one is in Massachusetts. So this is a sweets bread. Sometimes people make their own, which means that you kind of make it like a marmalade almost, but you don't preserve it. You eat it fresh. It has a lot of sugar in it. It's very delicious. And some people prefer to buy it in a can where it's already made and you slice it. I prefer the fresh kind, but many people actually like the kind in the can better. So then we have in some houses they have a
Or
corn
casserole.
casserole. Yeah, the Midwest is very famous for sweet corn and corn on the cob. So in the summer, we do have the best corn in the world. It's like
Oh.
it's grown everywhere. It's crunchy, it's sweet, it's delicious. So corn casserole is something that many people make maybe instead of that stuffing that you saw. What do they use here? They say it's corn, uh, milk or heavy cream. Yeah, it's just a milky kind of creamy thing. A lot of Midwestern recipes have milk or cheese in them because we have a lot of cows and it's a cold state, so fatty. In fact, even the people, we're very fat too. Keeps us warm, but so our food is very rich and full of fat. I don't know what this is. It kind of looks delicious, kind of looks gross to me, but ambrosia salad, I don't know about this, so I'm going to skip it. Oh, those are the things. And then, of course, the regular turkey, you're going to see that. So many of these things you will see at my house, not all of them, but many of them. Then I thought that since we're going to be there for a few days, I would take you to Chicago. Chicago is a beautiful city, and this down by the lake, down by Lake Michigan, you'll see this big bean, and this bean is just a big mirror, and it's a sculpture that went up a few years ago, and it's kind of fun to go and visit. And Chicago's just a very walkable city, big city, friendly city, good food, good people. Chicago's famous for their Chicago style pizza, which is a thick pizza where the cheese goes before the sauce. The red sauce goes on top of it. It's very good. And so Chicago is one of my favorite cities. It's also the city where my grandfather grew up. My grandfather was from Chicago and he lived on the Swedish side of town because the different ethnic people, ethnic groups lived in different parts of the city. And my grandfather lived on the south side of Chicago where there was also the Swedish part. And so I love to go to the Swedish part. And there's a part called Andersonville where they still have bakeries that are for, that were started by the Swedish Americans, etc. But all the different ethnic groups have their neighborhoods with their special foods, etc. So Chicago is just an hour away, so we can go whenever you want. We can go more than once if you want, and I'll show you a couple photos from there in a moment. I've been to Minneapolis, but I've never been to Paisley Park, which is the home of Prince, who I've always wanted to go to visit his house. So hopefully we'll have time to go to Minneapolis. It'll take us about 4 hours, maybe a little bit longer, 4 or 5 hours in the car. But in the Midwest, that's normal for us to take a weekend and go for a 4 hour ride. No problem. Then we can go to St. Louis and see the arch that Lanfranco was talking about before. This is where it is. And there you can actually go inside. It costs you $17. You can go inside and you can go up, 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 up. And there's an elevator that takes you to the top where there's a lookout point. So you can actually see from the top. So I thought that would be fun. Then the other things I thought we could look at are go visit some houses that were designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
Yes,
He was from the Midwest. He was actually from Wisconsin. So there's a lot of things that we can go visit. I think got 7 or 8 different houses we can visit just in Wisconsin. So that would be fun. And then I thought we could go fishing. There's plenty of information in this magazine about fishing on Lake Michigan. There's several festivals for that as well in the summer, but anyway. And then there's some stuff about Midwest cuisine here and how we talk. But I'm going to leave that for a second because I want to show you some photos, some real photos. So I'm going to go to, this is not where I want to go. I got to find them though. Oops. I'm going to stop sharing for a second so that I can look for the photos that I just uploaded from my not so recent trip to Wisconsin. Just closing some windows on my desktop because I've got so many things open. I'll get there. Okay, it should be here. Okay. Now I went to I did a lot of the trip that we're talking about last time I was in Wisconsin, so I thought I would share with you a couple of places that we're talking about. Since I have to convince you to come with me to my mom's house. Okay, can you see my screen?
No? Yes, yes. Now there is something.
Okay. Now it's kind of strange. See if you can see it. Can you see what that is?
It's a
Chicago?
it's a picture of the port.
Yeah, it's looking down. Okay, so it's actually, you can see, it's kind of hard to tell, but actually this is the floor. This is a lookout point from a very tall building. This is the Sears Tower. And you can actually step out and you're looking down
Once
at the
was
city below. This is the floor. I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see my feet here.
Once it was the tallest building in the world.
It's true. It was. Yeah. So this is me looking down. You can see there I am doing a selfie. That's me in the same at the lookout point of this building. So this is Chicago. This is the Chicago River.
Have the sleepers
Huh?
on the tower.
Sylvia?
Why
What?
did you wear the sleepers on the tower?
It's kind of a Wisconsin thing. We wear Birkenstocks all year, and we wear them with socks. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, my feet hurt, so I always wear Birkenstocks. But my daughter thinks I'm crazy. But I was like, for me, it seemed normal that day. Now it seems a little weird now that I'm back in Italy. But there's my
Was it
daughter.
cold? Is it not cold?
No, I don't get that cold. It wasn't too cold. It was September then. So this is my daughter Ava. She came with me. I went to a friend's house and they had these delicious cupcakes. There were these red velvet cupcakes and carrot cake and Oreo. And this was like something with a cream cheese. This was carrot cake. Oh, so delicious. So I thought I would try to convince you with some sweets.
Very delicious, very delicious.
Very delicious. This was a high school game we went to. I'll show you the picture in a second, to a high school football, American football game. So this was a Horlick High School. They're from Racine, was playing against a Milwaukee team. You can see this is, oops, sorry. This is American football. It's not letting me show you very well. So this is high school. So this is teenagers playing. You can see the players way in the background, but it's really fun. It's a very big meeting place for like when your city's high school plays another high school, everybody goes, parents go, kids go, the whole school goes, and it's just a really fun thing to do. So I was very happy to go take my daughter to a football game. And I went with well, this is my Italian friend Antonella. She came with me, my daughter, of course, and her daughter. But I went to see my bestie. She was one of my very closest friends when I was at school. Her name is Margot. And this is her husband, and this is her daughter, Morgan and Daniel. And they were in Venice right before this, and then got to go to stay at their house too. So these are my good friends. Did I get this? Oh, is that all the pictures I have? Let's see. Oh, then we're back at the front. Maybe that's all I've got. The important ones, the sweets, right? Yeah, those are, oh, yeah, that's all I've got from that. Did I convince you? Did it work? Did it work? Did I convince you to come to Wisconsin with me?
Wisconsin is interesting because it is the home state of Frank Lloyd Wright.
Exactly. In fact, he was born in Racine, in my city. Yeah, Frank Lloyd Wright.
There are many mansions projected by Wright, no?
Exactly. We can take a look at them. Yeah, so I'm going to show you.
But not the most important.
Right. I mean, right, Falling Water's not there,
Falling Water is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, well, it depends. Like the S.C. Johnson Wax Building is one of his, there are a lot of them, but let me see if I can share with you so at least you can see some of them.
Yes, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. Let me see if I can get back here.
I thought St. Louis was important for the music, for jazz.
St. Louis, sure, yeah,
For jazz music.
Yeah, we didn't even. I love doing music tours too. We could do that next time. There's some blues from St. Louis. There's some good stuff. Let me see if I can show you just a couple of images from. I gotta find it. The Frank Lloyd Wright things that we can see in the Midwest. Okay, so these are the Frank Lloyd Wright design buildings in the Midwest. Okay, so of course there's some other ones, but we have a large concentration of them, right? So this is one of them. Let's see. I think this one's can you see this one? This was his house from Illinois. And it's crazy that this was like from the beginning of the 1900s. But a lot of Wisconsin houses have the even copied Frank Lloyd Wright windows and structures. This is this is his studio in Oak Park, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago. I love this round room. This is a very famous one in Spring Green, Wisconsin. This is very like a classic sort of look for a Frank Lloyd Wright house. It kind of is supposed to be part of nature, kind of hides with nature, and it often is incorporated in there, which is a good thing, but it also can be a hard thing for maintaining these houses. It's pretty difficult because they're built so into the land. This is in Spring Green, Wisconsin, about an hour from where we're staying. Then we've got the Cedar Rock State Park in Iowa. Okay. Another house you can see that's sort of classic, lots of windows so that there's like really a lot of nature inside and outside.
Yes, you are right, because he invented the organic architecture, deeply connected with the environment.
Very much so. The Dana Thomas House is in Springfield, Illinois.
He uses a lot of wood, but it's difficult to maintain wood, no?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Now, this is a classic. If you see these windows, like he designed the windows, he designed the furniture, he designed the chairs. He has the famous, the three-legged chair, for example, that keeps people, sitting up straight. But these are famous windows. You see these also in a lot of Wisconsin houses that are not Frank Lloyd Wright, just because he created a fashion and many people wanted to have it. So a lot of windows look like this especially in older houses in Milwaukee, older houses in bigger cities, even in Racine, where he was from. A lot of other houses that are not Frank Lloyd Wright houses do their best to try to copy these. This one is in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Yes.
I love this one too. Yeah, this is in Lafayette, Indiana. These are just private houses, a lot of these. Some of them are, became something important, but many times they were just commissioned by in Oberlin, Ohio, by families.
Always the same style, no?
Yeah, always the same style, right? You can, this is in Kirkwood, Missouri. This is where my sister lives, actually. My sister lives in this town. So when we're in St. Louis, we can stay at my sister's house. She has a really big house. I like
Oh,
this
this
one. This is
famous.
kind of different. This is the Unitarian Meeting House in Madison, Wisconsin. This is a church.
A church, yes.
It's just got this really kind of this triangle, but it kind of looks like it's not a house, but it doesn't quite look like a church either. A little bit different. And then Monona Terrace in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't know where. Yeah, it's this. This part was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright.
But there is not falling water.
Yeah, Falling Water. Falling Water, I think, is in Minnesota. Where's Falling Water? Let me look.
It's in Pennsylvania.
I think so too.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's in
let's
Pennsylvania.
see. It's in Pennsylvania. Yeah, so it doesn't. We don't. It's probably the most famous one besides the Johnson Wax Building. In fact, this is in my city, in Wingspread. This was the house that was designed for the family of S.C. Johnson Wax. These are the people who make Altan, which is, so it's still a family-owned business. They make Altan, they make they make those, bug sprays and things. Very, very wealthy family. And this staircase inside the house was built so that the children can go up to the top of the house and see the airplane of when the father was coming home from work. So very rich family. It's called Wingspread. This is a museum now, but the S.E. Johnson Wax family still owns it. This is the office building for S.C. Johnson. Same company. This was the building, and this is and they still use this building actually, but this was the original design. So and he designed every detail of this.
But S.C. Johnson is the owner of Johnson & Johnson.
Nope, different.
No?
That's a different one. Yeah, S.C. Johnson Wax is the other one. So two different companies, very big, successful. The difference is that Johnson & Johnson is a multinazionale, but S.C. Johnson is a family-owned business still. Very, very big business. This is in Rockford, Illinois, but again, you can see those windows and this is this has actually been restored to be the original. This is in Wichita, Kansas, but you can see all the repetition, just every detail he thought of.
Multinazionale, multinational corporation.
Yeah, exactly. And this is in Wisconsin, Still Bend. And so, that's a big part of, of Wisconsin too, is visiting these amazing places as well.
Tallahassee is a village in Wisconsin, Tallahassee. How is the right
I think that's the
pronunciation?
name. That's the name of the house, actually. I don't think it's the name of the town. It's the name of the house. They gave it the strange name. That was the house that he lived in.
Yeah,
and I don't remember why.
It was his headquarters. It was his headquarters.
Yeah, when he was younger, I think, and before he left his family, he had a very complicated family life. I think he left that and went to Oak Park with his new wife. So he had a couple of families happening. He was a complicated man.
Which is the right pronunciation? Tallahassee.
I don't know.
The right pronunciation is Tallahassee.
Tallahassee. I don't know. I'll find out though. I'll check this week and I'll ask my mom. My mom definitely knows, but I don't know. Anyway, are there any other places you want to?
You can Google the pronunciation on Wikipedia.
Yes, of course.
But yeah,
because he founded even Tallahassee 2 also in West in West, in Arizona, I think, no? Another
Yeah,
place.
yeah, somewhere in the desert, New Mexico or
Yes,
something.
yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember anymore. It's like I remember. Didn't we do a lesson on him a couple years ago? I remember we did a lesson on Frank Lloyd Wright because I love him, but I remember preparing a lesson for Chidoxip just about Frank Lloyd Wright, and I remember reading everything, and all the scandals in his family. But still an amazing artist, amazing buildings, and they're still modern. And when you look at them, you can't believe that they were
Yes,
designed so long ago.
a friend of mine visited Falling Water, no? Camphan House,
Yeah,
no?
beautiful.
It was really, it is, he told me that it's really amazing, but it is always, there are always work in progress. There
Yeah.
are always work in progress because the home is in the water and there is water everywhere and
Yeah,
everywhere is humid. Everywhere is humid.
yeah, that's the problem with all of his houses are leaky. There's water entering. And it's funny in Racine there was this beautiful Frank Lloyd house. That's just a private house that normal people live in. It's not a famous, it's not a famous one. It's just one of the many that he did. And I remember I went home to my mom's house and I said, "Oh, they painted the Frank Lloyd Wright house, down by the lake. They painted it such an ugly color. It used to be so beautiful." My mom said, "Oh, this is the original color. They restored it." And I said, "Oh God." It was like the color before was so beautiful, but this family decided to like restore it to exactly the way it was. And it was like, oh, it was like the color was like this disgusting beige brown. It just didn't look good at all. But so sometimes he didn't get it right, but other people did. But you got to trust the artist. Anyway, did you like your trip to the Midwest today? Luciana, how are you?
Fine, thank you. This was very interesting.
Do you like Wisconsin? I'm trying to convince you to come to Wisconsin. If you come to Wisconsin, I will also make sure that you get a cheesehead hat. I will make sure you get one of these. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen so that you know that this is exactly, you're going to start wearing this and you're going to be so happy. Hold on. Oh, there we are. Let's see. Share my screen just so you know. This is another symbol of Wisconsin is the cheese hat, the cheddar cheese hat. Okay. So if you come to Wisconsin with me, I'm going to make sure that Luciana gets one of these. And then you can paint your face and we can go to the Packers game, which is a football game. Okay.
Okay.
Did I convince you? Awesome. Well, next week is Thanksgiving, so we'll have a special Thanksgiving meeting next week, okay? We'll continue talking, taking our trip across the United States. But I'm so happy you're here with me next, and I hope I see you again next week, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
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 See
Thank
you
you.
for
Bye.
Thanksgiving.
And then
Bye.
the next week I think I'm in Bolzano with you again, but next week we're still online. Okay?
Okay, bye.
Bye, thanks.